What's going on, fellow ghosts, gamerheads, anime nerds, and renegades? Welcome back to the channel. It is your boy, Raven37 Actual, aka Raven37 Act Fool. That's 2 zeros, not O's, aka Mr. O Miles in the chat, aka Raven. First of all, big shouts out to Dust Cosnia. I know the volume on the last video was kind of all over the place. That's because I had messed up and lowered the volume on my mixer, and so I had to go in and post and try to lower my talking volume parts. So I had to clip up the video into a bunch of parts, lower my talking volume, and then raise the music volume. And turns out I'm not as good as an editor as I as I thought I was. But if you took the time to watch the last video, thank you very much. It was, I think, the second video in our review of the Inpatient album featuring Ren and Chris Webby. And tonight, I realized we have just one song left on the album that we haven't heard, which it feels like it was the last song that they released, which is Asylum. So we're going to take a look at Asylum tonight. I mean, I thought really long and hard about what a good video I could pair with Asylum. And because I don't really know the context of Asylum, although I do know that they've had several videos like Madhouse, Instigator, Neurodivergent, where they've talked about specifically, mental health facilities and services that are, for lack of a better word, lacking. And so it could be related to that. I'm not sure. But my goal is to try to see if I can draw some sort of juxtaposition between what we can consider to be the end of the Inpatient album to the very first song we heard, which was Down the Road. One of my favorite songs from the album, I would say top two. End of the World, though, is just it's a really special song to me. I don't know why, but it just sticks with me. That's one song I'm not gonna lie, I've listened to it in the shower a couple of times and just belted it out. But that's neither here nor there. But Down the Road is definitely number two for me. I shout out to Scorchio. She said it's hard for her to rank where the videos place for her, and I totally get it. But the way I do it is just which ones resonated with me the most, and the bluesy feel of Down the Road definitely gave me sort of the same vibe I got when I was watching Sinners. Is very much like this down south earthy sort of feel, blues, devil went down to Georgia kind of thing. And yeah, it just really set the bar for the rest of the album, which I think has been amazing. I see they number one in a couple of countries, so that's, big shouts out to Ren and Chris Webby, and big shouts out to you guys, because for our little piece of the part, we contributed to, more people getting their eyes on Ren and Chris. So yeah, big shouts out to you guys. But I've done enough yapping. We're gonna go ahead and dive into the videos because I'm excited to see what Asylum is about. But if you took the time to watch this video or any of my videos for any amount of time, like I always like to say, thank you very much for watching. But without further ado, let's get into Asylum. Okay. This looks like it's gonna be like a everyday people sort of vibe, like maybe Bad Company. Let's check it out.
The preacher sins on Sunday morning. The sheriff steps outside the law. The teachers don't know much at all, and it's all the same. Empires rise and empires fall. As we wander through the darkness, will die upon this hill, and the only pill to swallow is the one that made you ill. In this virtual reality, it's hard to see what's real. There's something left worth saving, I'm holding on to still. The doctor is your local dealer, the banker cuts himself a check, the politician you believe in is never around, just empty promises and death.
Holy shit. So yeah, the beginning of this song is just, you know, appearances aren't everything, and not to judge a book by its cover, because we tend to look at people in positions of authority or positions where they have somewhat control over other people's, like how other people's lives will go or turn out, and we tend to look at them and assume that they're faultless, and that's just not the case. Like he said, you know, the preacher sins on Sunday morning, and the sheriff steps outside the law. Those are things that happen every day. The banker cuts himself a check. I mean, why get into a field if not to figure out ways in order to help elevate yourself and stuff like that? That's literally how everybody thinks nowadays. So you can't, you can fault them because it is a choice, but at the end of the day, I would say more try to look inwardly, because it's the sense of betrayal when you figure this out, right? Like, oh no, the sheriff steps outside the law and you feel betrayed, but we should turn that focus inwardly and be like, okay, what about this person made me think that they were above being at fault? Because then the betrayal goes away. So at the very beginning of the song, it's very emotionally intuitive, and it's very analytical and almost self-critical, because these are, like I said, these are presumptions that everybody makes about these people put in these specific positions. We assume they're straightforward, we assume they're on the level, we assume they just, you know, but you never really know. Life's a mixed deck of cards, you know what I'm saying? So you never really know. And as far as like politicians go, like we know they full of shit. So it's just like the fact that politicians are full of shit is only exacerbated by the fact that when you do see a politician that isn't full of shit, they're usually A, ostracized, B, underfunded, and C, like not platformed because they refuse to use the political aspect of capitalism. So it's really catch-22-ish sort of situation with politics, because the ones that you see, all the politicians you see, they ain't got none of your best interests at heart. And the ones that do have your best interest at heart don't take APAC money, and they have certain moral standards, and so they don't get platformed. So that's just like the reality we live in, and it really sucks. But I've yapped for long enough, so we're gonna go back a little bit. But yeah, big shouts out to Ren and Chris Webby for this really cerebral, introspective look at why we associate authority with labels.
Cuts himself a check. The politician you believe in is never around, just empty promises and death. As we wander through the darkness, we'll die upon this hill, and the only pill to swallow is the one that made you ill. In this virtual reality, it's hard to see what's real. There's something left worth saving that hasn't yet been killed. Where do we go when bound by the chains? When the tide gets low, I wait for the wave. Still I learn to let go with hope for change. When the world is an asylum,
When the world is an asylum, how do you stay sane? And the the simple answer is you don't fit the mold. You don't prescribe to what the world prescribes to, because the I think the running theme throughout this entire album has them being like saying fuck you to the establishment and to the established order, with Instigator and Neurodivergent and all of these songs like this. So if when the world is an asylum, how do you be sane? How do you stay sane? You you be, you be different. You be you crazy. Because I know they're just saying like, if everybody else is crazy, then who's the real crazy person? But in this day and age, it can very well seem like the world around you is literally insane. We've made our comparisons to Idiocracy and just the wild shit that we see that would have been considered satire 10, 15 years ago. We've talked about it. And so maybe the only way to stay sane is just be a little bit crazy, a little bit neurodivergent. You know what I mean? Maybe that's the only way to stay sane. I'm just spitballing here. You guys let me know what you think down in the comments. But yeah, no, that's definitely a pertinent question, a very relatable question in a world that's crazy as fuck. So much so that it's you consider it an asylum. How do you stay sane? Maybe, when in Rome, right? Go to get a little crazy, get a little neurodivergent. You guys let me know what you think down in the comments.
Yeah, the times change, but it's still the same thing played out on a constant loop.
Yeah.
As the wars wage on the centerfold stage, and the storyline's nothing new. While we draw lines in the sand decided by the chosen few, just for something to believe in, anything will do. And we throw spears over counterfeit fears while the kings and queens all watch. Brothers shed tears, but it falls on deaf ears in a land that God forgot. Still we thread hard through the hangman's rope and lose sight of what was lost. All for something to believe in, but was it worth the cost? As we wander through the darkness, we'll die upon.
We're gonna go back and listen to Chris's verse a little bit more, but no, it's definitely a pervasive feeling that the world has, like, I don't know, it's this pervasiveness in the world that everything is, it includes in us. And so you got to understand that by including in us in anything, that automatically creates a them. You get me? So whether it be religion, political, like, y'all got to understand, a lot of us, we around the same age, so we grew up in a different time. It used to be taboo to discuss your political alignments in a public arena. Like, you didn't discuss that shit at work, or, and like, people kept that shit to themselves. The voting booth was private for a reason. Now motherfuckers have their political status as their Facebook profile information, and biography and shit. It's a crazy time we live in, man. And that's not to make a play on Ren's words and nothing like that, but that's like legitimate what's going on. And like Chris Webby said, they create all these false divides, and they're just pretended fears, but they cause real harm. People really dying. People really losing their livelihoods and lives over false divides, over things like my skin is a little bit different, darker tone than yours, or you speak with a little bit more Latin lingo to your English than I do, or your God is pronounced Allah while my God is pronounced Jesus. It's a whole bunch of superficial shit that people are just willing to go at each other about. And as long as we at each other next, then we not paying attention to the motherfuckers that's really fucking us over. So Just like he said, we throw spears over counterfeit fears, and the kings and queens all watch, cause they not involved in that shit. They not in these neighborhoods living with these people that's suffering while motherfuckers living check to check. And if one bill or if one mishap occurs, then one bill not gonna be able to get paid. They ain't never lived in them circumstances, man. And so they gonna never be able to completely empathize with you. They can say they speak for you and shit like that, but like it says, they just counterfeit kings and queens because they were put in a position of power by the people. But at the end of the day, they get to say yes, no, in favor of in favor of the people, like Congress and Senate and shit, when that may not be what the people really want. And so they keep us divided so that we will elect the most divisive people to the positions of power, so that then they can keep us divided. We fight why because we're divided, and they just watch the show. Like that's literally what goes on. So yeah, sorry about all the yapping, but this song is definitely resonating with me on a personal level just because of everything that's going on in my country. I know I got a lot of watchers that are in different countries, but somewhat see similar things going on with their governments and things of that nature. So, if you happen to be dealing with the same sort of stuff with people in positions of power, just showing you that they completely don't deserve it. Just know this we all in this shit together, man. I mean, uh, I just I just really hope that the younger generation sees what all these, you know, old, greedy, manipulative people are doing to the world. And like I said, I'm working on a video essay called "History Always Overcorrects," because that is my hope, is that history overcorrects one more time after this time that we're living in. But yeah, we're gonna go back a little bit more because I've been yapping for a little bit long. I apologize, but yeah.
The chosen few, just for something to believe in. Anything will do. And we throw spears over counterfeit fears while the kings and queens all watch. Brothers shed tears, but it falls on deaf ears in a land that God forgot. Still we thread hole through the hangman's rope and lose sight of what was lost. All for something to believe in. But was it worth the cost? As we wander through the darkness, we'll die upon this hill. And the only pill to swallow is the one that makes us ill. In this virtual reality, it's hard to see what's real. There's something left worth saving that hasn't yet been killed. Where do we go when bound by the chains? When the tide gets low, I'll wait for the waves. Still I learn to let go with hope for change. When the world is an asylum, how do you stay sane? Hold on, hold on, hold on. Shalom, shalom, shalom. In the dying of the light, there's a chance to be reborn. Hold on, hold on, hold on. A mother reaches for the needle. A baby's lost before it wakes. Without guidance for the people, it's all the same. Walls are built, walls will break.
That is true, man. Like until we learn from the past and we doomed to repeat the mistakes of the past. Like that's empirically proven throughout history, and that's why I think it's so important that we do not only remember like the fucked up shit about everything I've been saying about how like fuck people and all this stuff and people that to get you and people in power take advantage of absolute power corrupts absolutely and all of that stuff. I still have a baseline mindset of trying not to allow the way of the world change the person that I choose to be. Um, and that person chooses to like lead with love. Like everybody gets a chance. And you know what I mean? I have people that have let me down in that regard. And, you know, I felt shitty about it. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't be being me if I didn't operate in that manner. It's just, I don't know. It's just how I was raised in the environment and stuff. And I see, and the condition of the world that I see is just so much me out in the world that I feel like a few voices that say we, like not in the French way, but shout out to Scorpio, but, you know, but in like us in terms of that, I definitely think the world could use a few more voices like that. So I'm definitely always looking to embrace the things we have in common. Because I mean, it's 6,000 YouTube channels you can go to that'll highlight all the differences that's between all these make believe lies that these motherfuckers have created for us that didn't exist 100 years ago. But um, at the end of the day, you know, I just it's funny because he says, "What is the only pill you swallow is the one that makes you ill," and it's sort of like the 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 hard pill I have to swallow is that putting myself out there in that manner does leave me vulnerable because the world does not lead with love. We know this. We know this to be true. Um, but yeah, still, if you got to die on the hill, I guess that's the hill I'm gonna die on is lead with love and don't let the way of the world change the way you are. Um, but yeah, that was a lot to take from that video, and I think the the one takeaway I can really like hold on to the video is that everyone isn't what they seem to be, especially the people that appear to have authority and appear to have power and appear to have assets. We assume that these billionaires are all geniuses because they have a PR department that writes them a epic sounding backstory and shit. When it's not really the case, really, it's just like family money passed down from generation to generation because somebody bought a patch of land that had oil in it in the 1800s and just transferred that shit for generations. Like, that's literally all it be. It don't be no. They want you to believe all these people like Elon Musk and Stockton Rush and all these people are just like, you know, miracles like that just like because of ingenuity somehow popped off. No, they had money to be secure enough to fail and it not be the end of the world. Like that's legitimate what. So I just say that to say this song gave us a very direct message of be careful of how you perceive those who are in positions of what most people would want to be in because generally um the world is an asylum, so you got to figure out a way to stay sane. My solution is a little bit of neurodivergence and a little bit of stubbornness. What's yours? You guys let me know down in the comment what's your way to stay sane in this asylum of a world. But with that being said, we're gonna move on to our second song of the night, which is actually the first song that we heard of the Inpatient album. And I'm actually really, really, really excited to go back and revisit this song because I haven't listened to it since like we reacted to it. And it's not because it's not a good song. It's just it's hard to bump this in the car driving down the streets and sometimes with the windows down. So it's just really hard. But like the 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 roots of the song, the lyricism, the musicality of the song, it really set the pace for what has now become the meteoric rise of the Impatient album. And I'm glad to revisit it and see if I can't draw a parallel to the message we took from Asylum. So without further ado, we have Ren, Chris Webby, Inpatient, Down the Road. Second time. Let's get it.
I took my possession down the road. All that I own down the road. Set out at night time down the road. Down the road. Down the road. And with God as my witness down the road. There stood a man down the road. Dressed in the shadows down the road. With blood on his hands down the road. There was something so familiar about him. A certain kind of aura pouring all around him. Looking fresh to death, his suit, it was astounding. I caught his eye and then I felt like I was drowning.
Okay, so we already know at this point we're literally discussing or drawing a juxtaposition to the Stanley Johnson story of selling his soul to the devil for the ability to play guitar. But I would like to point out that the person at the end of their rope being approached by, a dapper looking dude, certain kind of aura all around them, that could have been any of those jobs that were described in the Asylum song, where it could be a banker, or it could be a loan shark, or it could be a lawyer, or it could be a media company representative, or a modeling company representative, or an A&R, or anything like that. But any of those things could be the man in the suit in somebody's own subjective situation, because while the deal may take different forms, at the end of the day, like I said, we all face that situation where we are offered something in exchange for what is essentially our moral framework, and we have to make that choice whether or not to. It's the same thing with allowing yourself to vote for these politicians when you know that they aren't looking out for you, or you allow yourself to fund these police unions when you know they're like being militant against civilians and things of this nature. Like, it's a choice. It's a choice. So to me, that's definitely a juxtaposition between the Asylum song, because the devil, or the man in a suit, could be represented by so many people in positions of power, because so many of us are people that are going without, if that makes sense. But you guys let me know what you think of that attempt down in the comments. We're going to continue.
Standing at a crossroad and the dull glow of the lit bowl flicker silently, quietly tiptoed down the long road, and the man spoke to me quite excitedly. Hello, dear fellow. And he tipped his hat and he smiled invitingly. Who knows why you felt this, but I felt like someone lit a fire in me. And I felt my stomach turning, I turned and I tried to find the word inconcerned, and the feeling disconcerting. It's strange, but I felt this weird yearning, a craving for something that was urging me over. And then they start conversing. I reached out my hand, he shook it during. He leaned in and said something disturbing. All I gotta know is your desires. Is it fame or fortune you aspire to get about this life that you've been living? Follow me, I'll walk you through the fire. I got every type of...
See, he said, I can give you everything you want and that you desire. I can get you up out of the life that you live in. You know what I'm saying? That, like I said, that could be anybody in a position of authority that has that connection that could get you that upward movement, but they offering it to you in exchange for you doing, signing that contract or whatever that makes you... I'm not saying that police are inherently crooked or anything like that, or politicians are inherently crooked. I am saying, though, that the aspect of the man in the suit could be fulfilled in realistic circumstances by people in those positions. Think about how a police officer could affect your everyday life. Think about how a judge could affect your everyday life. Think about how a IRS agent could affect your everyday life. FBI agent, um, an accountant, a lawyer, a doctor, and they could ask you to, be a part of a trial. A doctor could, or a lawyer could, you know, tell you you have a case and tell you to take it to trial when you really don't because they want to get, they want to get paid for representing you. It's very liquid. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to mold this dark, shadowy figure into just people in positions of authority that make these empty promises. And what it ends up doing is essentially enslaving us to things we didn't know we agreed to, ways of life that we didn't know we was going to have to face and live through, and consequences that we just didn't foresee. So that's sort of what I'm doing. So um hopefully the point gets across, but essentially just the man in black, the morning sun in this song, he could be represented by any of those people from the Asylum song, like the preacher that sins on Sunday morning, or the sheriff that steps outside the law. That could very well be realistically fit by any of those tropes. So yeah, we're gonna continue. My bad about the yap.
Then said something disturbing. All I gotta know is your desires. Is it fame or fortune you aspire? To get about this life that you've been living. Follow me, I'll walk you through the fire. I got every type of flavoring. You should see the budget of the catering. I don't wanna come off as a salesman, but I got the taste that you've been savoring. Let your pain go, let the flames grow. I'll read every thought that's on your mind. Cause I know you got a name, so why don't you just write it on this line? Here I got a pen and everything. Who needs a wedding ring? I offer the divine. I don't think you fully understand, but I promise that you will in time, so just make a choice.
And I just thought about something. In every single one of those professions, when the public deals with that person of authority, you have to sign something. Whether it's at court, whether it's at the doctor's office, whether it's at the accountant's office, whether it's at a legal place like the police station or the FBI office, or whatever, whenever you deal with them, you have to sign something. I don't know what it means. I'm just pointing it out because I just thought about it. You guys let me know if it means anything to you down in the comments.
So I stood frozen at the crossroads of time. Took hold of his paper and I leant down to sign. I still remember back where I was from. See, I was the favorite, the morning sun. See, I had ideas, but they said they're too grand. So they casted me out without reason to doubt. Now there's blood on my hands. See, I've been that one with the silver tongue. Yeah, they say I'm falling, but never run, following the calling. I've been all in with the barrel of a loaded gun, aimed at the masses, at their masses. Yeah, the darkness gon' get you. You can say a prayer if it helps you. That cross won't protect you from the light, bringing lost angel. Shit, I only came to entertain you, but since we made ourselves a deal, you gon' be my fucking puppet till it breaks you. I'ma chain you to the ground, I'll enslave you. Look around, ain't nobody coming here to save you. I'ma take you way down, cause yeah, I know I've been around, but still I got some shit to prove, and I don't really give a fuck how it's gotta happen, but just know that you gotta fucking deal with the devil written. So shut up and listen to play me some blues, and just know the choice that you made today will be the last thing that you ever choose.
We're gonna go back and listen to that transition one more time, but I would like to point out that verse, to me, it says, that, like, despite everything I've said about the distrust you should have about, people of position powers, and that's not to say automatically distrust. Like I said, not every judge, not every police officer, not every lawyer is bad, but the people that exist in those frameworks have that ability. No one else has that capability to leverage a person like that. So with that being said, um with me drawing that juxtaposition between the man in the suit and those people that we look at and assume because of their position that they are without fault, it's also important to remember that 99% of the time they did not start out that way. That's why they say the pathway to hell is paved with good intentions. Because, people tell themselves that they're doing the right thing for the right reasons all the time, but that's just what you're telling yourself. There's no outside feedback. But telling yourself what you're doing is for the greater good is completely fucking subjective. And the greater good, the people that the greater good is actually going to affect may have a different fucking opinion than you. So with that being said, man, it's just important to keep in mind that uh like, really, if anybody happens to be religious, do not get upset with me. I am not trying to like humanize the dark man or the morning star or nothing like that. I'm more trying to illustrate, even in his situation, who is like, he's supposed to be the epitome of evil. Yet when you think of the idea of evil, when people say, oh, I wasn't in control, the devil made me do it, when they talk about the most horrific shit that they did and they being held accountable for it, that's what they think is a legitimate excuse. The devil made me do it. So even when thinking about him, just know that the devil didn't start out that way. He had good intentions to start out with. So it's just important to keep that in mind when we're assessing, you know, these people that have this leverage over our lives, and whether or not our trust in their word and their capability to fulfill their word is well placed or not. Um, so it's completely subjective and it's completely up to you. But it is important to use your discernment and also realize that, everybody has a story. So it's important to know as much as you can. Because, like I said, even the most evil figure in what is human history, known human history, he didn't start out that way. I'm just be real with you. He didn't start out that way. So, yeah, that's all I got. But hopefully I made that connective. You guys give me a scale of 1 to 10 of how connective that was to the themes of the first song. I'm thinking like 6, but you guys let me know. Scale of 1 to 10.
Don't really give a fuck how it's gotta happen, but just know that you gotta fucking deal with the devil written. So shut up and listen to play me some blues, and just know the choice that you made today will be the last thing that you ever choose.
Yep, that song is still as hard hitting as it was the first time I listened to it, and that speaks a lot about the impactfulness of Ren and Chris Webby's collaboration and what they've built here with this Inpatient program. Like I said, I think it's gonna be something that people are gonna be looking at in 20 years. Like, wow, it's crazy to think that this level of music ingenuity was happening, around this time. And this whole album has just been an experience because it's just been so many varying emotions. Sometimes really, really heavy. Sometimes really heavy, but in a sort of diabolical or playful way. Sometimes some just what the fuck moments, and we don't really care. We just been say some shit kind of way, but somehow they still manage to make it, like an experience. And for all the number ones and stuff they got in all the countries they got them in, I really feel like they deserve it. But yeah, the themes I think I got from tonight's videos were just one, don't judge a book by its cover. And even once you know the contents of a book, just know that it had to be written by something. I guess would be the two messages I got from Asylum and Down the Road. You guys can let me know what you thought of both songs and of my analysis and attempt to connect the themes of the songs. Like I said, I give myself around a 6, but I'll let you guys be the judge. But if you made it this far in the video, just know I appreciate the shit out of you. I appreciate all you guys for all your participation, your comments, and I try to get around to them as soon as I can. But between the gaming channel, Twitch, and then making the videos, sometimes I do get backed up on comments, but I will get responded to all of them. Every single one of you guys. Shout out to Maj Brad, shout out to Dust Costia, Scorgio, Kathleen Bags, Janny Chance, all the regulars. Y'all know who y'all is, Trina Minks. Yeah. But for now, I'm gonna go ahead and wish you guys a safe, happy, healthy morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time it is when you're seeing this. If it's your first time watching and you enjoy the content, definitely recommend you hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications so you know the next time I drop another video, make it short or go live. But if you enjoyed this video, I recommend that you click on one of these videos over here, spend some more time with your boy. But for now, you guys stay safe, stay frosty. You already know. I'm gonna catch you on the flip side. Till next time. Actual out.